Hello and welcome to this week's discussion, Living and Leading Through These Tumultuous Times. I'm Alicia Culp, and I'm a certified leadership and transitions coach. And I thought during this time, we're all truly trying to create our own path and our own kind of path to understanding the enormity of so many different changes that are happening in our lives right now. I think it's trying to gain a sense of equilibrium in our own personal lives. And at the same time, we're trying to be available, creative problem solvers, and resource providers to our clients, and then really lead and run our organizations at the same time of trying to be aware and good stewards to the social and civil commitments that are going on right now. I mean, no small order. That's a lot to ask of any leader of any generation. So I thought, how exciting would it be to sit down and talk through the perspective, the lens of generations. And I am very pleased to have two guests with us today. They happen to be the two guests from Insight Marketing Group. And I'm so pleased to welcome Danielle Owings, who is the Director of Client Services and Operations with Insight Marketing Group. And she represents our millennial age group and perspective. And then we have Christiana Ayoung-Chee, and she is the Client Success Manager with Insight Marketing Group. And she really represents our Gen Z group. And of course, there's me, and I represent the Gen X group and perspective. So we thought we would just sit down today. Welcome, all three of you. We're so glad that you're here.
Hello. Thank you, Alicia. Yeah, I'm excited that we have three generations to talk about this.
So awesome.
Yeah.
Right? There's so many different ways, don't you feel? Because one, the enormity, again, going back to that, we have so many different things. It's almost like waves that are coming over at one time. So this is interesting to then overlay the generational perspective on top of it. So let's just, for the benefit of context, give like a little frame of what are those waves right now? We're dealing with COVID-19. And infectious disease that's around the world, still rapidly spreading. We're hoping that we're leveling it out. We have the economic impact that happened, that occurred because of shutting down businesses across the country, and then the raising our unemployment rate. We have a political landscape that's very divisive, with an election coming up in just a few months for the president of our United States. And, most recently, the death of George Floyd and so many others, that it's really elevated the discussion about race relations and civil unrest in our country, and a long history of that and how we deal with it. So no small order. So with all of that, I welcome you. I'm glad that we'll have an opportunity to sit down and talk. And I'm interested in your perspective right off the bat of those challenges that I mentioned. What personally has been the most difficult for you, and why?
Yeah, I'll start. So honestly, for me, all the racial injustice has been the absolute most difficult for me. I can deal with working from home and keeping my distance, and I've been very privileged to be able to keep my job, be able to pay my bills during this time. So the racial injustice has just been heartbreaking, to say the least. I mean, Black lives do matter, and it's really sad that we have to clarify that people's lives matter. So I've been trying to do my part to watch and read and educate myself on things that I'm honestly ignorant to. So it's been very eye-opening for me. I actually just finished the When They See Us, the series that's on Netflix, and it made me angry. I mean, this has been the most difficult for me because it's a deep-rooted problem, whereas COVID and everything else is just a short window in history. So that's been the biggest challenge of the collective challenges that we're all dealing with.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for sharing that. And then also just a resource to go out and watch that. I have not watched that yet, so I will definitely check that out.
Yes.
How about you, Christiana?
100% agree with Danielle. I thought coronavirus was the start of it all, but then everything else just happened. It's just so sad to see that not only are we divided racially, but even with the presidential election coming up, instead of realizing that the issue is a racial issue and it's more of a human rights issue and not a political issue, people are saying, oh, rest in peace to George Floyd and those who have died. And for me, I'm seeing adults that I grew up with that, were so welcoming to me, especially being a minority, a woman minority, may I add. And these same people are basically saying, oh, yes, I do respect him, rest in peace. And they would add stuff to kind of taint his name. And for me to see these adults who taught me to love others and everything of the sort and respect others, to see that side of them come out is really, heartbreaking. Just seeing the racial divide that is happening within this country as well, even though it's always been there, growing up, I've had, people say racist things to me, say really ignorant things to me. I've seen people do it to my parents as well. So for me, it's just even more heartbreaking that, Black lives are not seen as important in some people's eyes when in fact they matter. Yes, I do agree that all lives matter, but right now, Black lives matter. They matter yesterday, today, and forever. And it's just really heartbreaking. And it's really stressful too, because I have so many friends and family members who are, Black, who are Latino, who are Middle Eastern as well. And for them to feel not safe in a country where their ancestors have come here for a better opportunity, it's just heartbreaking at the end of the day. So it's just been a lot of stress on me and my friends, but on top of everything else that's happening, all the chaos, it's just like that cherry on top that's like, wow.
It is. That is so well put. Thank you for sharing that really personal perspective that you and your family have, because I think that that's so important. And I think it's interesting that I think we're all three feeling that same way. That I think the racial, that such a deep sadness and also an anger, seeing the just extreme anger that's come out is really sobering, for the lack of, it really makes you hit pause and really take all of it in. I'll share as a Generation X, okay? Because this last week I struggled with what to post. I don't post a lot anyway, right? On social media, but everything felt too light. It felt too insignificant. And so I really just kind of just sat back and reflected. And the things that came up for me, I had actually kind of forgotten this, but I remember that my senior year of high school, okay, so that would have been 88, 89, 1988, 89. I went to Apopka High School. I'm not calling out Apopka because I think this is an issue everywhere, but it's a local high school. The Ku Klux Klan marched at City Hall. They marched in full robes at City Hall. And in 88, 89, yeah, right? Talk about outrage. And we weren't, this sounds like I'm going to make an excuse, but we weren't maybe as socially, let's take to the streets as I think your generations are. I'm not really sure I know my reaction was outrage, disbelief. I'm not really sure. I don't remember like what that actually ended up, did I do anything with that? I'm not really sure, or even why they were protesting out there. But locally, and I know you have clients all over, but we have, Florida has a long history of discrimination and lynching and voter suppression and things that it's exploding now.
Yeah, I think part of the anger too is each generation. I feel like you think, like, we already have the civil rights movement. I learned about Martin Luther King Jr. in elementary school. Like, why the hell are we still having to shout this from the rooftops? Like, what? I think that's the anger and frustration too. It's like, why the hell are we still talking about? Like, why? Right. Like, why? Why are?
That's right. My mom, I had a conversation with her over the weekend. So, here we're going to add in a different perspective, the baby boomer generation, right? And she's right at the beginning of the baby boomer generation. And she just said, Alicia, I thought, I wrote my letters, I marched, I thought that we were leaving, the world, or we were building a better place, and I just think that's my hope from all of this is that we will we'll shed some more light, we'll grow, we'll make some changes that need to be made, because we don't want to just have it just stir up and then nothing happens, right?
Yeah.
So it's important to vote. It's important to vote.
It is important to vote. I would say that's the second thing that I take away, is that democracy is an experiment. Yeah. And we take it as a given, right? Don't we take it as a given that it can just like, we're going to just roll along and that's the way it's going to be. But we really have some interesting leaders around the world, not to get political. So I'm going to make it a global movement of some really interesting things that are happening. And I think we have to be really watchful, because if we're silent and we don't vote, we don't, like, it can go.
Yeah.
It can go, and we don't want that to happen. So to talk about, if we can contrast where we are now to experiences maybe that you had in the past, I would think, Danielle, with you as a millennial, maybe through graduating in college, or that you went through maybe a really difficult business environment coming out into 2007, 2008, or maybe Chee, you growing up, Christiana, you growing up through that.
Yeah, I feel like during college, I was pretty lucky to get a job during college that then turned into my full-time job after I graduated. I'd imagine that during this current landscape that, the kids who just graduated, that job searches and interviews would be just very difficult and very weird right now. But like I said, for my personal experience, I was lucky to get a job right when I graduated. I'd imagine for Christiana, it's just weird in general.
I will say, like, I had the same opportunity as you, Danielle. Like, I was very fortunate to have that opportunity, but I see some of my friends who just graduated a couple weeks ago who are going to graduate, at the end of July, and they're concerned that they won't be able to find a job. They don't have the same opportunity that I may have, just like with anyone else. So it's just a really hard time for some of these kids and these young adults that are trying to start their career. And I know I'm just very lucky and happy to have one job that I really love and everything. And
Well, Christiana, like, this is your first experience as like having a career, and you're just a few months into your adult career, and this is your experience. So that's, I don't even know what to say to that, because it is what it is.
I never imagined starting my adult life and my first day as an adult to turn out like this at all.
I know.
Crazy, like, just from internal stuff to emotional health to mental health to now a political / human rights movement, and then a pandemic. I don't know. Most of the people our generation are still
They told me adulting would be hard. I didn't think it'd be this hard.
Exactly. Way to have to face all of it all at once, right? I mean, crazy. That's a lot of, how is your kind of your daily routine changed through with the pandemic and everything? How has your world shifted?
Yeah, I'll let you go first this time, Christiana.
Okay. So basically I decided to move back home for the time being, because just like so many young adults in college and who just graduated as well, because we can't afford living on our own at this point, since most kids have lost their jobs. I had 2 jobs, this job and also another job, and I unfortunately had to leave the other job because of the pandemic. And financially I just cannot afford it to live on my own. So it's been kind of hard with that. So living at home is great. My family, especially my dog, keeps me sane. And just, I try to remind myself to contact people, my friends and family who I love, to just say hi, how they're doing and everything. And honestly, that's what's keeping me leveled and preventing me from having multiple breakdowns a day, worrying about the worries of the world and within my own little circle. So just trying to remind myself to contact people is really important right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've been working from home since mid-March. I've been working out from home. I've been virtually visiting my family from home. I even graduated from home. So I've been a lot of at home for the last few months, for sure.
Yes, congratulations. Congratulations on that master's degree for you. Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah. It was a different experience though, virtual experience.
Right. A lot of at home.
Yeah, a lot of at home. That's, I worked from home before, but now have my husband working from home also, and not going out and meeting with clients and interacting. Everything is virtual. We have a family call once a week with my side of the family. We've done some with my husband's side of the family as well, but our call actually is similar to this. It's a generational call.
Yeah.
So I have my mom, and then multiple generations of cousins that we get on a call every week. And it's been really positive because we've just been sharing sort of the same thing, our different perspectives. And somebody may be down one week and then somebody else is up another, we kind of are balancing
each other
out and sharing those things. So what other things are you doing to try to stay really mentally and physically healthy, emotionally healthy right now?
Yeah. For me, working out has been helpful. I feel like I'm like just sweating out my emotions or my frustrations. Also, I've been trying to very actively disconnect myself and try to separate, like, work is that side of the room and this is home over here, which is very difficult. But I've been trying to make it a priority to say, like, okay, I'm done at this time and now you're home, you're not at work. And I think trying to make that mental separation is difficult, but it's something that is helpful if you try to implement it.
Right. Yeah, I think that makes sense. You've got to have some boundaries, right? Set some boundaries for yourself. Otherwise, it's just one long string of of work, which work can be a good thing, and we'll come around to that too, right? Of how it focuses us and gives us purpose. Christiana, how about anything else for you that you've been doing? You said you've been staying connected with family and then with your friends and reaching out.
Trying to social distancing while meeting them. We'll go to the park or something like that. But I do have to agree with Danielle that it's hard to kind of like separate work and home. And my parents even say, why are you still working at this time? You need to take a break from work.
Yeah.
So it's definitely hard to kind of divide the two, because at one end you want to finish everything and you want to get everything done on your to-do list. But on the other side, you need to take a breather. It's not like when you go to the office, I'm here from, for example, 9 to 5. You're at home 24/7 at this point. So it's just hard to make that divide, but it's definitely helpful to reach out to people. Like I said, living at home is nice just because I have people around me, so they kind of force me to come out of that work hat and put my casual hat on.
Yes, exactly. Keep you connected to what really matters the most. I know my dogs are like that. I have 2 rescue dogs. So thankful to have them in my life. They add that sense of urgency of making sure that I get out and walk. So I regularly walk with them, and being outside, especially when the weather was a little bit nicer. We're dealing with a tropical storm right now, so that's given us a lot of rain. But when it is nice, it's a great way to get outside. Something else that I try to do too is around my computer space, around my workspace, I try to bring in things that make me feel really good. Whether it's, like having some music on in the background, because, our 5 senses, we really do connect to that. And it's such a great way to really ground ourselves, is to just remember, okay, I have things within eyesight right next to my computer, try to share and switch those out. So I'm seeing something different about once a week. Sometimes it's a picture of family members. Sometimes it's something really colorful, or words that really inspire me. Those are all things that I just find that work for me. Of having those reminders to raise our energy and keep us clear. So how about with your clients? What are you seeing with your clients? How those needs have changed, expanded during this time?
So we work directly with doctors and medical practices. So the way they are providing care has changed. So telemedicine has been a huge push and initiative that we've been helping our clients kind of get off the ground. Before it was, the cool thing. Now it's the necessary thing. So
you had to become the experts first, right? To then teach them and try to help them implement quickly.
So it was learning that quickly to make sure our clients can get up and running for their patients quickly as well. A lot of our clients had to close offices. They had to furlough employees. So we had to help them kind of navigate that and those communications. So I think those are kind of the 3 big things: is telemedicine, closing, and furloughing employees. Those have been big.
Yeah, those are huge things for any of those leaders to have to face, because safety and health is what they do. Healing is what they do. So it's pretty important that they get it right. Christiana, you have anything to add there?
No, but basically, like Danielle said, we had to learn a whole new different set of systems and programs and everything like that in such a short amount of time. And I
Yeah.
believe like it has been successful for all of our clients, but it was definitely quite the learning experience, but we got through it and I'm
Yeah.
grateful for it.
And that was like at the heightened moment of unknown. So personally, we were all stressed and freaking out at the same time while also trying to like keep a cool face for our clients. Like, yeah, we got this. When internally we were all, freaking out as well. Because I was like, what the heck's going on? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do either. Let's just do something. So
Yeah, you're a strong team. That really goes a long way to have a team that has your back and that you can rely on each other in the uncertainty of what you were going through, right? So you could put the brave face on for all of your clients because there was so much that they were facing. So I'm sure that they were really appreciative of you being able to pull out all your arsenal of materials and knowledge and learn with them. And I think the creative resources that you've provided, I know for me in working with you all and also that working with clients of just the need for communication.
absolutely.
And how do I communicate and how do I keep employees calm and how do I reinforce that, they do matter, that they are respected and appreciated and keeping them connected through all of this, all the changes that they've gone through. I think communication's been another big piece of that you've been a part of. I know that that's been something that's been important that my clients have been looking for as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for our clients specifically, we did what we called a patient readiness campaign. So after the initial wave of telemedicine and getting all that set up, then when offices started opening again, they opened completely differently than how they were opened just a couple months ago. So we put together a lot of videos for our clients of them showing what an office visit looks like now. So it wasn't just training employees, it was training patients on what to expect for this new normal of a doctor visit. So that was
great point. Yeah, it goes both ways. Yeah, the more prepared they are, the more knowledgeable they are, the less issues that you're going to have them when they show up at the door. So, or the telemedicine, they know what to expect.
Yeah.
So, good stuff. What would you say, anytime you face a crisis time, and especially as a team collectively, you grow during that time. So how have you grown during this really crazy, hectic, volatile time?
Yeah, I think it's twofold. So as we were talking earlier about the racial injustice and the Black Lives Matter movement, personally, I've been trying to focus on educating myself, as I kind of mentioned earlier, because the Black Lives Matter movement means a lot to so many people, and I honestly don't fully understand everything that goes into that. So I've been trying to educate myself, take, a real intuitive look at myself and see kind of things that I might do or have done that attribute to this underlying problem and things that I need to change as an ignorant white person who doesn't understand. So in that respect, educating myself to fully understand that history and what I can do to make myself better and be a part of the bigger change. And then I guess in relation to COVID-19 and the world shutting down, is just knowing, we've always been a team that pivots and goes in a million directions, but I think during this time even more so is pivoting and just being open to any change and knowing that our plan yesterday is going to be a different plan today is really
adaptability, right? Having that flexibility of trying to not be too rigid in what you thought was going to happen. The more you can kind of just live in this day, this is what it is.
Yeah.
How about you, Christiana? Thank you, Danielle.
Yeah, basically, I 100% agree with everything Danielle said. Like, growth-wise on the whole racial issue that's happening within our country, it's just not only educating myself, but trying to promote education towards others via social media, sharing the petitions to sign, sharing where to donate and why this is all happening. I believe that, Gen Z and millennials, this is our future. So we want to make sure that our future is set for success, when the time comes. So it's important to, I've learned, and I guess my growth during this whole process is learning where my voice is, knowing when to speak out and how to speak out in a respectable manner, but also, getting to the point. And I feel like I've struggled with that just because I don't like posting so much on Facebook or social media because I'm afraid conflict is going to happen. I've seen it happen within my own community. I've seen it happen within my own family members and people that I grew up with. And for me, social media is to share positivity and just to share a message, not so much negativity. So finding my voice and finding the balance towards that, I feel like that's where I'm growing the most. Trying to find that voice inside of me to speak out and to hop on what Danielle said about the whole coronavirus and pivoting during work. I just started, I'm maybe 6 months to 7 months in full time. So I feel like I've been thrown around and in different situations everywhere. So I'm learning new things as I go with them. And it's great to know that I'm not the only one who's learning. Everyone's learning at the same time. And, I've always loved doing something different consistently. So it's definitely keeping me on my toes, but I'm just grateful to have the Inside Marketing Group team and to be a part of them just because they're so great. And they've helped me get through such a crazy time and crazy year that we've had so far.
I'm just imagining 20 or 30 years from now, whenever you're mentoring somebody else or you're in some sort of leadership role and you're explaining how when I started my career, the world was shut down and it was just absolute craziness and I learned this, this, and this, and I'm just seeing the future for you. You're gonna
thank you. I have great role models.
Have a great story to tell.
Yeah.
I agree. Those lessons, you've learned so much in such a short period of time. It's like adversity makes you so much stronger, and you don't even know, it will be down the road that then you'll look back and then the full understanding of everything you learned during this time will really become even more aware for you. Like Danielle said, you'll be mentoring someone in years to come, and what a difference it will be that you'll have that perspective.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think for me, the thing that I'm trying to take away is, yes, living through the financial crisis was one thing. This is something totally different. So from 2007, I always referred to that prior to this time. I referred to that as a real turning point for me. I learned so much. It was it was like a on-the-job MBA crash course of trying to learn what it was to lead a company through a really difficult time. And I took so many lessons away from that. But this is something totally different. And for me, I think it's intentionality, trying to be really intentional with especially language, because the words that we choose to use, it's such a, we're trying to learn and navigate what those words are, what can we use, what those mean to other people, and still be ourselves. Like Christiana, you said, having your voice and not being afraid to say the things that really matter to you, and saying it as respectful a way as you can, in an inclusive way as you possibly can. So I think that that's going to take some learning and just understanding for me. So that's what my area that I'm going to try to really focus on that. And it's reinforced my values, I think, even more. And then the actions, I'm still kind of exploring what those actions are going to be, but it sounds like you found some for you, in whether it's the voting, taking action, working on your voice of what that's going to be, continuing to really learn, and how you bring that into business for your clients.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share, as a closing thought? Or
I think just really, if we learned anything, it's that nothing is permanent and everything can change at any given time.
Yes.
And like you said, Alicia, it really puts a lot of things into perspective of what is important. I mean, being stuck at home, I think we all said the most important thing was connecting with our family and friends. We didn't say going to the bar with our friends. We said FaceTiming our family was what kept us sane, not, all the little things that we miss, but it really put into perspective the most important things to all of us.
Yeah, going back to gratitude.
Yep. I just say love one another and respect each other for how we are, and just respect all lives. And if we could just follow that one golden rule universally, I feel like we'll be in a better place.
Yep. Well said. The golden rule, you can never go wrong, right? That's always a good one to just go with, making sure that we respect other people and treat them the way that we want to be treated.
Absolutely.
So, on that note, thank you, Danielle and Christiana, for spending some time together. I'm glad. Thank you for inviting me to participate in the discussion and share my perspective. And I'm excited about seeing where you all go in the future and the good things that you make happen. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Alicia.
Thank you.
Righty.